if you haven't already heard, the Olympics is proudly using AI slop now. And to make matters worse, they aren't just using AI slop, they're actually ripping off artists, taking their concepts, their ideas, feeding that artist's art into an AI, and then passing it off as their own. Hey guys, Jeff from the future here. Before you get into this video, I just wanted to make a quick note. This video is in two parts. The first part, I'm going to be talking about the Olympics and their use of AI and the fact that they stole a concept from an actual artist. And then I'm actually going to do a photo shoot where I create my own art to basically compete or combat against the Olympics' use of AI and show an example of what could have been, what they could have done if they hired a real artist, a real photographer to do the job. If you're not really into rants and you don't want to hear me go on about AI and the implications of the Olympics using AI, I still encourage you before you leave to just skip to the end of this video and check out the photos that I created. I'd love to hear feedback on them. Just anything that you have to say about my art and what I created here, it would be great to hear. There is an artist out of Japan. His name is Tatsuya Tanaka. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. He's actually got quite a following already, and his art is incredible. It's great, it's creative. Basically, he makes these little mini figurines of people playing sports, and he puts them on top of food. It's cool, it's creative, and most importantly, I think in this context, it's original. I don't think anyone else is doing the same thing as him. It's a completely novel concept, and he didn't just do it once or twice. He did it many times. He has a ton of work that falls into this category. And the Olympics have blatantly stolen his idea and ripped him off and didn't bother even to mention his name. And for me, this was sort of a moment of realization. It was a moment when the pin dropped. It was a moment of feeling that it's over. I personally hate AI. I hate all of it. I hate the art the most by far. I hate the economics of it. I hate the culture surrounding it. I hate the hype of it. But most of all, I hate the art, if you can call it that. And I really got this feeling that I'm doomed. I'm a photographer, and what I create, I would consider to be an art form at the very least. And at this point, I think the writing is on the wall. You know, I saw a bunch of posts on Twitter of people saying, you thought that the big brands that had something to lose, that had a reputation, they would never use AI slop. It's just the startups, it's just the bootstrapped businesses out of basements that are going to use AI slop. The real legit businesses, they'll never do that. They have too much to lose. They have a brand identity that's too important. Guess you were wrong. And in the last few months, we're seeing the shift. We're seeing the reality that we were wrong. We're seeing the reality that these massive corporations, they don't care. They do not care about your art. They don't care about authenticity. And it almost feels like I don't think they care about connecting with their audience at all. And I think we're living in a sort of post-market, post-capitalist, weird alternate reality where the real big guys, the big corporations, they don't actually have any incentive anymore to connect with their customers. They don't have to be authentic in any way. In fact, they can actively try to punish you and make your life worse. And it's not only that they get away with it, but it somehow feels like it consolidates more power for them. And I want to talk about the Olympics' use of AI. I want to talk about their blatant ripoff of an artist's work that was right there for everyone to see. I mean, it's not like they even were really trying to do something they could get away with. And I want to talk about what I am going to do now as someone who feels more hopeless than ever, who feels like my career is probably over. But first, I want to talk about what I've decided to do. And what I've decided to do is I've decided to create real photos inspired by that Japanese artist because I'm a photographer and taking photos is what I do. And I want to see if I can do better than the AI. I want to see if my photos can connect more. They don't have to be technically better, although they probably will be. But I think I can make photos that connect more than what the Olympics put out. So I am going to set out to do a photo shoot with ice cream, and I'm going to see if I can outdo them. And the point of this is not to prove to the Olympics that they shouldn't have used AI. I don't think the Olympics cares. If they cared, they could have just messaged the artist and just hired him to do the work. They have the money. I think this is more about pushing the boundaries of power. This is about the fact that the Olympics is a monopoly. There's no alternative to the Olympics, and the social capital that they have with us is perhaps unbreakable. And maybe they don't have to care. Maybe they don't have to be authentic. Maybe they don't need to connect with us at all. Maybe they can be an organization that insults us. They can be an organization that shamelessly steals from us and throws it in our faces. And maybe it won't matter. Maybe it just won't matter. Maybe someone on the marketing team said that they need to be provocative, and using AI is provocative, which it is. And it's important to note that a huge marketing tactic these days is not appealing to your audience. It's just pissing people off, because creating a buzz and a narrative feeds into engagement and it gets more eyes on you. And it's almost like getting more eyes on you is all that matters. Even if people are looking at you with disgust, as long as they're looking, maybe that's somehow increasing your ROI. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't. But it's hard to chalk this up to incompetence. It really is. It's something that's so intentional and so disgusting, and really just a really turn of the tide for me in my life, realizing that there's really nowhere to hide now as a photographer. And if you're out there and you're any type of artist, I think that we're going to see this shift continue. And I don't think they care about the backlash. I don't think they care about us kicking and screaming and saying, that's not art, that's fake, and it looks derivative and stupid, and it's actually disgusting to look at. I don't think they care, because it's free and it's easy. They don't have to sign contracts with anyone. They can essentially just steal your work. And let's be honest, a lot of people will never notice. Most people will never notice. They'll never know. And no one really cares. It's just a bunch of us freak artists and creative people kicking and screaming and having temper tantrums while everybody else does not fucking care. The Olympics also used AI to generate an opening sequence, which was uninspired, unoriginal, unsettling. We've really crossed the Rubicon at this point. I think that at this point we have to understand that this is not going to stop. Things are going to get worse. And people outside of our creative realm, this bubble that we live in as people that are creating art of some form, they don't particularly care that much. I think that there will come a day when they do care, when they start feeling like we live in a completely unreal world where nothing is real, nothing is authentic, nothing comes from humanity, nothing comes from the human experience, but is only generated. I think maybe that day will come. That day came a long time ago for me. I'm repulsed and disgusted by everything that is generated by AI. The text, when I recognize I'm reading something and I notice that it's LLM speech, I get a visceral feeling of disgust because I feel I was tricked. Up until now, I spent my whole life reading, and every word that I read online or wherever it might be, every word that I read, I knew it was typed or written by a human. Of course, there was bots before, but it was obvious. And, now it's not so obvious. Once you see the M dash, then you start thinking, oh, this isn't a real post. And there's a lot of giveaways, but you could get pretty far into reading AI without realizing it, even if you are someone who is very well acclimated to how they speak. And when it comes to the imagery and the videos as well, we're getting to that point where it's not recognizable a lot of the time. And this is the worst point to be at. This is the worst. This makes things much worse. We don't want this. I don't think any of us want this. And when the internet was taken over by Slop, and now the majority of the content that is produced and the majority of the content that we see on the internet is simply generated. It is not something that is inspired and created by a human being. That was bad. That was bad. But now we see these institutions. The Olympics they have so much social capital built up. They have such a reputation. Who thinks bad things about the Olympics? Who ever said, F the Olympics? I don't like the Olympics. The Olympics is stupid. Everyone loves the Olympics. It's been going on long enough that everyone alive today has experienced the Olympics for their entire lives. I can remember watching the Olympics when I was a small child, and everyone else can too. It's one of the only events, arguably the only event, that unites the entire world. And the entire point of the Olympics is human excellency. It's striving. It's showing the best and brightest and most amazing specimens that we have. The hardest working people, the most talented. It showcases them. It gives them the opportunity to get in front of the world and say, I want to be the very best in the entire world at this one thing. And in the spirit of that, you would think that the identity of the Olympics would go deeper than just the sports, and that they would consider their entire brand, their entire identity, their world to be a world where we feature and we show the best that humans have to offer. I mean, it's such a human event. But that's not the case. To steal art so shamelessly is repulsive. And to use fake art, I don't know which one's worse. I guess stealing the art is worse. But there's something telling about the use of AI, even in the opening sequence. It's like we're all here to experience greatness, and this is what you give us? It really feels insulting, genuinely. And I mean, it's like, whatever, they're their own organization. They can do whatever they want, I guess. Why do they have to care? Why am I emotionally tied up with how they treat me? You just turn off the TV, bro. Well, I mean, I think that they have this place in our hearts. And it's like, for me, it's just, I didn't expect this. I just expected better. So I have come up with an idea that is futile, I do feel that my idea has no purpose, and I feel my work has no purpose anymore. It's a screaming into the void. It's just a mist, you know? Years of work, it's just a mist now. Because who cares? Who cares if my photos are awesome? Me? Like, I don't really care if no one else cares. Like, sorry, maybe I just have like a weak ego, or maybe I need to like appreciate the process more or something. But when you do something and it's your whole identity and your livelihood, and it just can just be fabricated, it sort of takes the wind out of your sails, guys. Sorry to say. Sorry, I kind of feel kind of depressed about it, to be honest. I know I should be like prideful about what I do, but it's like, what's the point anymore, to be honest with you? And more, I'm seeing businesses, and I work for businesses. I only do photography for businesses. And I'm seeing more and more businesses just say, fuck it. Just use AI. Have a scrunched up face in the background that looks super fake and disturbing. Doesn't matter. These freaking people don't care. And I think it does really show that they don't need to care about the consumer anymore. I mean, why would the Olympics care about the consumer? I mean, they're supposedly a non-profit, whatever that means in today's terms. I'm sure there's people making a lot of money. The Olympics, their revenue is in the billions, billions with a B. And, they have a lot of money to throw around for artists to create content for them. They have in the past, every single other Olympics that ever happened, they had people take photographs for them and create real art for them, do creative stuff for them to build their brand, to connect to people. And I believe that AI is the opposite of connection. It's anti-social, it's anti-connection, and it's anti-human. And I don't care if it's visually amazing. It's not. It looks like shit. But even when it looks good in some cases, or if it does begin to look amazing in the future, I think that'll make things worse, because we're going to be living in a world where art is dead, art is defeated, because you can't even tell what is art and what isn't. So today I set out to waste my time, at least that's what it feels like, waste my time doing something that I love and try to find some love in it, try to find some enjoyment in it by doing what the Olympics refuse to do, and that's create real art. I'm going to create some real art today. I'm going to take out my camera. I'm going to do my best, and we'll see how it turns out. Before I set out to create my art, I want to say that I have a message for the Olympics. Not that they'll ever see this video, not that they'll ever care. I'd be shocked if 100 people watch this. But my message for the Olympics is this. I know you don't care about art. I don't think you care about human excellency either. I don't think you have values that align with that cause. I don't think that you care about authenticity at all, because you made a very clear decision to steal authenticity, pass it off as your own, not give credit. And that's a decision that you got to understand if you've ever been around people in marketing, if you've ever been around a big business, a business that operates in billions, you'll understand that these decisions are not just some guy unilaterally deciding, like, let's just use AI. I'm just gonna, it's my job to do, these posts. Let's just use AI. Okay, I posted it. No, there's whole swaths of people involved. There's dozens of people involved in that decision. And it is highly likely that decision goes way up to close to the top of the organization. And it's very intentional. These things don't happen by accident. Don't let them trick you into thinking that it was, we didn't realize we had an intern that she just got out of control. No, it's not like that. So my message to the Olympics is this. You are burning social capital. You had a lot of social capital, and you still do. You have a real big reserve of it. And I know you don't care about authenticity and you don't care about art. And that's fine. But let me speak to you on terms that you understand. I can speak to you on the terms of ROI, of sponsors, revenue. To the people who are in charge of organizing the Olympics, I'd imagine you are all unfathomably wealthy. You must understand that you may be making a mistake here, not because artists matter, not because photographers matter, not because that Japanese guy that you ripped off and stole from can sue you, because he can't. He's powerless. Not because of any of that. My recommendation to the Olympics is that you, instead of using fake, disgusting, derivative, repulsive art to promote or show your brand off, you should invest a very small amount of your budget in hiring people who create art, real art. Not because you give a shit about those people. If you had it your way, those people would be starving. And you could just do their job instantly using Grok. What you should care about is your bottom line. And you do care about it, I'm sure. Because you got sponsors, you got to attend to the business relationships that you have, and this is billions in revenue you got to manage. You got to make sure that your reputation is solid. And for me, I don't want to be that guy. I'm never watching the Olympics again. You lost me as your viewer. Who gives a shit? Do they care? What I'd be more concerned about is the slow erosion of trust, the slow erosion of that reserve of social capital that you have. Because our generation, millennials, and even more so, Gen Z, they're not like boomers. They don't just blindly follow every institution off a cliff. They don't go, I have to watch the Olympics. I have to connect with my childhood memories and I have to have the nostalgia. Millennials maybe will eat that slop. But Gen Z, they're coming up and they're going to be the new people you're going to have to cater to in 10, 20, 40 years. And it's a different demographic. It's not a demographic of people that you can shovel slop in their face, insult them, slap them, and say, you're still going to watch. You're still going to watch, bitch. No. You are eroding away at the social capital that you have with those people that you've built over hundreds of years. And my recommendation to you is to, instead of doing the easy, cheap thing, do the thing that is safer. Not because it's morally right. You don't give a fuck about that. Do it because it may be a hedge. It may be a hedge against your social capital declining significantly. And yeah, for what it's worth, I don't care to watch the Olympics now. But I'm gonna be honest, my family watches it together pretty much every time. And am I going to forgo that event? No, I'll be there. I'll watch a couple of the hockey games. I love hockey. I love hockey more than I hate the Olympics. But ultimately, my message to big corporations and big organizations like the Olympics is this. I know you don't care about people. I know you don't care about art. I know you don't care about authenticity. But brands, in order to survive, they have to connect to people. I truly believe this, and if I'm wrong, well, then I'm cooked. But I really believe that brands have to connect to people. Otherwise, they will die. For whatever it's worth, that's my message. I'm sure it will be another Yelp into the void of my life, just like my work is becoming. And with that said, let's create some art. Let's create some fucking art, man. Let's do something fun. I'm gonna do some photos of people skiing on ice cream, and I'm gonna try and make it so that it feels like something real and something that actually fucking matters. Okay, so I picked up some ice cream right here. It was like $6, and I'm gonna just try and make some scenes with this. And I'm gonna be taking some stock images of skiers and snowboarders and stuff, and I'm gonna edit them into these snowy winter scenes that I make with ice cream. Obviously, if the Olympics hired me, they probably would have had the budget to just have me take photos of actual skiers, but it's not in the budget right now for me to go and travel and get those photos. So we're using stock photos, and we're gonna see how it turns out. So I got a bunch of shots of my ice cream in the container. They're looking all right. They're looking pretty cool. I'm also gonna be going for an epic shot of this ice cream cone. I got my tilt shift lens on now so that I can kind of get under it, shift the plane of focus. All right, so I got some basic shots of my ice cream here. Not looking like anything special yet, but now I also have a little stock image of this ski jump. I'm just gonna mosh them together and see what comes out at the end. All right, so I finished my photo shoot and I'm pretty happy with what came out of it. I ended up with 4 photos. When I found that ice cream, I just went and found like the cheapest ice cream that I could find at Food Basics, like the most budget grocery store. When I was trying to imagine what I would do for the shoot, I thought surrealism would be the goal, and I just wanted to find like the most Canadian brand of ice cream that I could find, just working class ice cream, $5 bucket of ice cream, and I found the perfect one. I thought about what it would look like if some ice cream company decided to sponsor an Olympic athlete from Canada, and they wanted me to do a photo shoot to promote their sponsorship, and this is what came out of it. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pull this off. It's something kind of new for me. Most of my photo shoots, or pretty much all of my photo shoots, are clients that are paying me to do work for them, so I don't have this full creative license like I did in this shoot, but I found it very liberating to be able to do whatever I wanted and not to have to worry about pleasing anybody. And I think the results are awesome. This first image, I knew I had to do like a big ice cream cone shot. That's obvious. One of the first ones I saw that the Olympics did was an ice cream cone, and it looked terrible and it just induced cringe. So I wanted to do something a little bit more captivating. I just put the skier right on top and I just made it super bright, and I just blasted it with a crazy amount of editing, and I'm just happy with it. Honestly, I think it's pretty awesome. Then I went and I just like made a jump out of the ice cream with this image. I had a skier doing a trick off of it. Thought that was pretty cool too. My personal favorite is this third one. Took a while spreading out all this ice cream. I had to take it all out, full bucket of ice cream, spread it on a baking sheet, super thin, try to get it as big as possible. I wanted to just capture as much of that detail as possible and just kind of make it look like a ski hill. This one just turned out fun. I think it's just pleasing to look at, and it's probably the craziest aspect ratio of anything in my portfolio. Like, it's just obscenely tall, and it took a long time because I had to just meticulously get those shadows right from each individual skier or snowboarder. I had to take a lot of time to get those shadows right. It was most of the time. All the editing pretty much went into that. And then this last one made a little ski hill out of the actual bucket of ice cream. I love the blue sky in the background. And yeah, that was the results that we got out of this. I'm actually super happy and proud of it. I didn't really know if I was going to be able to pull off anything decent here, and I was a little bit skeptical, but I love the aesthetic of all of these. And I think like there's something consistent about these. There's something captivating about it. And I actually feel a little bit happy now, even though I was really depressed about AI. I look at this and I think, like there's something about this is just too real. It just feels too real for me to be recreated by AI. There's some kind of artistic touch that I was able to actually capture. And I think if there's one thing that came out of AI that I'm actually grateful for, and it's probably the only thing, it's that it's going to push all of us to do something better. And even if that means not necessarily technically better, our work has to be authentic more than ever. And authenticity is going to command a um, higher degree of awareness, a higher degree of precision, and we're all going to have to really focus on authenticity. The majority of the content we see is going to be generated by AI. I think on some days I feel like it already is. And in order to stand out now, you have to be something different. And that's the big question in my mind is how do I be different? How do I make my images differentiate themselves obviously and immediately from AI? And I think to some degree I achieved that with this project. Anyways, if you made it all the way here and you saw my photos, thank you for taking the time. I'm brand new to YouTube, so I don't think more than maybe one person ever is gonna end up at this point of the video. So if that's you, thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate your appreciation. And I didn't go too much into the details of the actual editing process. I pretty much skipped over it in the video because I'm not really sure how my content is going to pan out on this channel. I'm just really in a discovery phase right now. So if you did watch to the end, if you have anything to say, I'd love to hear your feedback. If you think that I should go more in depth into this editing process and really show off the steps that I take to create these images, I would absolutely love to do that. I just don't know if there's interest. So let me know if you think that that would be cool, and I can definitely do it in the next one. If there are any instances of massive organizations or businesses using AI slop and you think I should take a crack at, doing a real photo shoot that can beat the AI slop, let me know. I'd love to do this again. It was a super fun process, and even if nothing ever comes of it, at least I learned something and I actually enjoyed myself instead of sitting around thinking that I'm doomed, which I do a lot of these days. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next one.